People who got lost using Google Maps. Highway hell. Back in 2010, the walking directions provided by Google Maps were still being affected and they couldn't always be trusted to lead you where you were supposed to go. They don't always do that now, but back then, the instructions were unreliable enough that Google voted best to include a warning. It read, walking directions are in beta use, caution, this route may be missing sidewalks or pedestrian paths, but this warning didn't appear if you were using the software on a BlackBerry, at least according to the lawsuit filed by Lauren Rosenberg. Rosenberg had been walking at night through Park City in Utah, when Google directed her across a 4-lane highway without sidewalks. This didn't align with the route on her BlackBerry as she tried to cross the road, but was hit by a speeding car in the process. This left Rosenberg with multiple bone fractures requiring 6 weeks of rehabilitation and was the basis for her $100,000 lawsuit against Google. However, the court ultimately ruled that Google had no legal responsibility towards Rosenberg and the case was dismissed in 2011. Land dispute. Located between Costa Rica and Nicaragua, Calero Island has been the source of numerous disputes since it was officially recognized as part of Costa Rica in 1897. Debates over its sovereignty reached a fever pitch in 2010, when former guerrilla commander Aiden Pastora led a troop of Nicaraguan soldiers to the island. The group set up camp on the foreign territory and even planted a Nicaraguan flag, cementing the act as an official invasion. So that wasn't the case in the eyes of Pastora, who like any responsible traveler had checked Google Maps before setting off to invade a country. As Pastora, Costa Rican newspaper, Google had clearly placed the island on the Nicaraguan side of the border, which for Pastora was enough to justify an invasion. 150 Costa Rican agents had been sent to the island. Out of business. In 2010, Buffalo-based jewelry store Barbara Oliver & Company closed the doors to the public after 6 successful years in business. The years had been so successful, in fact, that it was difficult to understand why exactly they decided to call it a day. It was the spate of unfavorable online reviews. They've recently received both the reviews and their status as permanently closed was the result of Google Maps hacker. Barbara Oliver had no intention of closing her store, but had fallen victim to a scam that had also had 3 other local jewelers. Whoever pulled off a stunt like this was smart enough to cover their tracks. Well, no, as it happens, another jeweler in the area had been bolstering their own Google listing with 5-star reviews, leaving all of us straight to them. Once Google officially reopened, the store business continued to boom. Sadly though, any legal action Oliver may have taken isn't public record, so we can only hope Oliver found. Caught in the act in 2018. A Peruvian man who understandably elected to remain anonymous was browsing Google Maps. He was looking for the best route to Puente de los Perros de Barranco, a popular bridge in Lima, when he spotted something strange sitting on a bench. Near the bridge was a woman wearing clothes that he distinctly remembered his wife owning, but this couldn't have been his wife, because resting romantically on her lap was a man who was definitely not him. However, even as a blurred face, the man was sure he recognized his spouse. He confronted her with the pictures and she confessed her infidelity. Tragically, the incriminating photos had been taken by a Google camera car all the way back in 2013. This meant that the affair had been going on for 5 years at least. The man was none the wiser and would have stayed in the dark if he felt like visiting a local tourist spot. According to local news, the couple can't overcome these differences and later divorced, although Street View is yet to confirm whether either of them are dating again. Wardrobe malfunction. In 2009, a woman was sitting on the front steps of her Montreal home, checking her emails on her phone. When a Google car drove past taking photos, she didn't think anything of it. But in 2011, she recalled the events. Man checked to see if she made onto the website. As it happened, she has, but she soon wished that there wasn't the case, as the Google car had captured much more than she'd ever intended to show. As she'd been leaning over, her photo had been taken at such an angle that her tank top had exposed her. This was online for all to see, and although her face was blurred, her home address was not leaving her exposed in more ways than one. This led to what she described as humiliating encounters with friends, family and colleagues, and she sought restitution. Google argued that it had blurred all of the woman's details, physical and otherwise, and the woman was afforded just $2,250 of her $7,000 claim. Because we wouldn't want to bankrupt Google now, would we?